If somebody just put a cat down on that pile of towels, would it then attempt to fold the cat?
The AI fix a digital zoo. Smart machines, what will they do? Flies to Mars or bake a bad cake? World domination, a silly mistake. Bots with brains.
Hello and welcome to episode 64 of the AI Fix, your weekly dive headfirst into the bizarre and sometimes mind-boggling world of artificial intelligence. My name's Mark Stockley.
And I'm Graham Cluley. Now, Mark, what are you talking about on today's episode?
I'm going to be talking about vaccinating AIs against evil.
And I'm going to be talking about the rumble in the Silicon Jungle.
But first, the news.
Delete your old emails, says UK government.
The Godfather of AI reveals the only way that humanity can survive superintelligent AI.
In the latest attempt to make men look useless, another robot has started folding laundry.
AI discovers new laws of physics.
Robo-crab humiliated in mudflat love triangle. It's quite the headline.
I'm dying to see if the story matches up to the headline. Please start there.
Well, on the mudflats of southern Portugal, there is a crustacean drama unfolding, Mark. On one side...
Is it the real crustaceans of Portugal?
On one side is a community of fiddler crabs. They are famous throughout the world for their habit of waving their oversized claws to impress females and intimidate their male competitors. Let's face it, we've all been there. It's like a Sunday night out on the town. But what's this? It's not just the fiddler crabs who are down there on the beaches. There is also Wavy Dave. And Wavy Dave is a 3D printed, Bluetooth-controlled robotic fiddler crab built by researchers for reasons best known to themselves. And he has an interchangeable claw. So he has one average length claw.
Right.
And then he's got like, hello, ladies. He's got the mother of all claws. Now, did I say that he has an interchangeable claw? That is actually inaccurate. I should have said he had an interchangeable claw because Wavy Dave came a cropper, a non-robotic fiddler crab, in other words, a normal fiddler crab, which hasn't been augmented with AI in some fashion. It attacked Wavy Dave,
right,
tore off his claw, and started waving it around as though it were his own.
What, like a trophy?
Yeah, well, no, I think, Mark, this is to impress the lady crabs. Saying, Look at me, I've ripped off the large appendage of Wavy Dave the robot crab, or this is mine. Aren't you impressed with my particularly large claw?
So it's like if we thought human females were impressed by the size of our hands and we put one of those giant foam yellow gloves, pointy fingers on, and went round waving that as if it was our own hand.
That's right.
Okay.
So when Wavy Dave the robot was around, the researchers discovered that the rival male crabs, they waved their rather less impressive claws for longer, but not faster. So, they've got some stamina, but they're not going to do it at the same pace as they normally would. And that is to impress the females as well. Okay. In the study, the researchers speculated that the males assumed a female was present because of the presence of Wavy Dave. If they see Wavy Dave there waving around, they think there's got to be female crabs. But they waited.
A chap with a claw that size is not going to waste his time waving at some limpets.
But they waited to actually see the female before going all out with their own display. Anyway, the boffins say that this might suggest males do respond to their competition, changing their behaviour if they think someone might be a love rival and if there's a chance of potential action. So who would have guessed that? So the reason I'm bringing this story...
I'm glad you brought that up.
So the reason I'm bringing this story to you, Mark, is this, I feel, is very valuable research being done with AI and robots, which doesn't involve dogs or flamethrowers or AR-15 assault rifles at this stage, at least. Who knows what is going to happen if Wavy Dave does get augmented in that particular way with some sort of laser cannon.
So this does beg a rather interesting question, because crabs are actually super interesting.
Yes.
Because if I have it correct, I think various branches of the animal family tree have evolved into some sort of crab-like form independently about 26 times.
Oh.
Like there is something about crab shape that he's very, very good. It's good enough that animals keep converging on this particular way of existing. And so that makes me wonder, at the moment, we're busy building robot dogs and robot humans, but actually, there aren't that many sort of dog-like things in the world, and there aren't really very, very few human-like things in the world, which is normally a sign that that's not a great form factor. But crabs, things keep turning into crabs, so I wonder if our robots will very quickly converge also on crab shape as being somehow more suited to life on Earth.
I can think of a couple of reasons why being based upon a crab would be helpful. First of all, you've got that tank-like protection.
Yep.
They've got that shell.
Yep.
But also really good at parallel parking. Not so good at going backwards and forwards, but parallel parking is a breeze if you're a crab. Something for Elon Musk to consider.
So Geoffrey Hinton is a man with a problem, Graham.
Yes.
So you'll recall that his breakthroughs are so important in the history of AI that his nickname is actually the Godfather of AI.
And it's not because he leaves horses' heads on the pillows of his rivals or anything like that.
It's more a sort of benevolent, fatherly figure.
Right.
Anyway, as much as one person is, he is responsible for getting us where we are today, whatever you think of where we are. And he's worried about what he's done.
Good.
And these days, he's very much poacher turned gamekeeper. He goes around giving interviews and doing podcasts where he basically says, oh, good God, we're not taking the dangers of AI and superintelligence seriously enough. And there's a good chance it's going to wipe us out. And he is deadly serious. But he's got a solution.
Okay.
So he thinks we can't avoid a situation where AI is going to run rings around us if it's going to become superintelligent. So we need a way to make an AI with mothering instincts.
All right.
Because mothering, he says, is the only model that we have for a situation where a more intelligent thing, the mother, is being controlled by the less intelligent thing, the baby. Because normally, it's the other way around.
Yes.
Now, this sounds alarmingly close, uncomfortably close, in fact, to Steve Wozniak's assessment that our only hope of survival is to hope that AI keeps us as pets.
Now you see, yes. It is a bit like that. But of course, the difference with pets is, of course, that we cannot control them. In my experience, I have owned dogs and cats in the past. When I had a cat, I thought if I really put some effort in, I could teach it how to talk. Never worked.
Actually, sounds to me like you've hit upon a better solution than Geoffrey Hinton did. Because you're saying not only did you, the more intelligent thing, look after the pet, but the pet also got to do exactly what it wanted. Anyway, I think this is a great idea. But the trouble is, Geoffrey Hinton, as brilliant as he is, doesn't actually know how we could do this. But I do, and I'll tell you about that later.
Now, in meteorological news, Europe is currently experiencing drought.
Yes.
It's extreme heat in many regions. I've got my fan on here. Wildfires are rampaging across the continent. I'm abiding by the hosepipe ban, watering the plants with a little teapot. And the UK government has come up with a novel suggestion on how we can all help conserve water.
So I'm going to determine from the quality of this suggestion whether or not the UK government has taken a leaf out of the Swedish Prime Minister's book and asks ChatGPT for some brilliant ideas.
Well, their idea is that we should delete our old emails. A press release.
Okay. I thought you were talking about drought.
Yes. This is how we're going to deal with the drought. We're going to delete our old emails and photographs that we took in 2017 that we don't want anymore. A press release from the National Drought Group advises all of us not only to turn off our taps when brushing our teeth and take shorter showers.
I'm glad they bothered to mention that.
They also say we should, quote, delete old emails and pictures as data centers require vast amounts of water to cool their systems. That's right. The situation is apparently so dire that we're being told to erase all those emails that you never read in the first place. You know, you get in your inbox those important updates from companies that have just changed a minor part of their terms and conditions. Don't bother reading them, but it may be clogging up your inbox, or your order is just shipped for things which you don't remember ordering, and funny cat videos from your cousin. We're going to have to delete all of those. What remains a mystery, however, is just how... this is just a minor detail. Just how deleting old emails or photos you took by accident in the past will mean data centers will save water. Or indeed, how much water that would actually save, if any. I mean, it's true that digital data is stored in vast, thirsty data centers that consume, in some cases, millions of litres of water to cool their servers. But this is the same government that is gung-ho on turbocharging AI with the building of vast data centers costing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars just to generate images of cats on roller skates.
Well, I guess as long as you don't email those to anybody, we're good.
So what do you think of this, Mark?
I think it's preposterous.
Yes, I think it is as well.
I feel like this email that they've sent out is now festering on a whole bunch of data centers, making lots and lots of computers ever so slightly warmer than they would otherwise have been, and consuming a small trickle of additional water.
Yeah, it seems very bizarre to me. In fact, the act of deletion probably will get the servers revving up, won't it, if everyone begins to delete gigabytes and gigabytes?
I wrote this thing about Facebook once. If you have a picture that you haven't looked at for a while, it's actually on a server that's been switched off. And that when you go and ask for it, there is this sort of very, very quick boot process. And you go and ask for the picture, it actually turns the computer on. So maybe we just need stuff like that. But I think we can say with some surety that the UK government is not currently widely using ChatGPT. Because as bad as some of the stuff that it comes up with is, I don't think I have ever seen ChatGPT come up with something this bad.
It seems to me that politicians are always keen on deleting emails and evidence and WhatsApp threads and things. Normally when there's an inquiry going on.
Somebody is trying to sweep something under the carpet by getting everybody to delete their emails. So according to people like Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, the next big question for AI is, can it make scientific discoveries? Well,
it already has on the mudflats of southern Portugal. I think Wavy Dave.
Anyway, some researchers at Emory University in Atlanta have actually done something a little bit more interesting than waving a plastic claw about. They trained an AI model on experimental data dealing with a rare state of matter called dusty plasma. And I had never heard of dusty plasma until I read this. Anyway, they say that the model revealed surprisingly accurate descriptions of forces in the plasma that weren't fully understood before. And it also corrected some long-standing errors in plasma theory. And I think that begs the question, how did they know?
Oh, yeah.
Did it correct the theory or did it just say something that they hadn't seen before? Anyway, I don't know. It feels like maybe something's happening. Maybe we are seeing the first signs that AI can move beyond data analysis and into actual discovery other than, crabs like big claws.
Dusty plasma. It sounds to me like...
It's like a less appealing version of plasma, isn't it?
Well, I'm thinking of Dusty Springfield from the 60s. Maybe she tried to reboot her career in the psychedelic era. She brought out that album in about 1967.
Take a ride with me through dusty plasma, where the colors swirl and the light is high.
Now, Mark, we've reported in the past that robots may replace men in the bedroom. So that's a serious concern for many of us. Well, we may not be quite there yet, but we have seen evidence in past episodes that humanoid robots are acquiring skills that women would love to see their husbands emulate, such as folding laundry.
Oh, yes. Oh, we saw those robots that had been trained from YouTube.
That's right.
Much, much slower than normal.
You see. Well, they were, but Mark, progress is being made.
Oh.
Because there's a new video just been released which purports to show a Helix robot from a company called Figure AI folding towels rather than leaving them on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And even at one point appearing to pick off a piece of fluff off one of them. Now, I don't know if that's just it missing the towel, but have you seen this?
No.
Check it out.
Hey, Figure, can you fold these towels for me?
Sure thing. I'll get right on that.
Well, it's quite a sinister-looking robot, isn't it? It's a bit tactical.
You mean tactical as in sort of weapons rather than backgammon technique, don't you? So the makers claim that Helix can now pick up virtually any small household object, I guess from a carrot to a chihuahua, including thousands of items.
Sorry, I just saw it pick up the piece of fluff and it 100% it missed the towel.
They claim the robot can pick up thousands of items it's never encountered before, simply by following natural language prompts. So there are some other videos on their website where they say, pick up the wiggly cactus toy, and it works it out and it picks it up. So, Mark, in the past, you've criticised some of the videos I've brought to the show of robots in action, suggesting that they are fake or CG.
Yep.
What about this one? Do you think it's fake or real?
Well, I think this is real, but one of the things that we've seen with lots of these robots is that there is somebody off camera actually steering the robot. I mean, actually, this is very impressive, however it goes. The thing that's caught my eye are the hands. There is a sort of subtlety in the way its hands are moving. I mean, it does still look like it could wring your neck. But the ultimate test here, I think, is something we came up previously, which is if somebody, there's a pile of towels to its left, if somebody just put a cat down on that pile of towels, would it then attempt to fold the cat?
Mark, important question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have a nemesis?
Well, there was this kid at school.
An arch rival, foils all of your plans and ambitions.
Yeah, what I've found is the best thing to do is start a podcast with them.
Keep your enemies close, right?
Exactly.
Someone who makes your blood not just boil, but curdle at the very thought. I have someone like that. I never encounter them, but whenever I hear their name, I just go,
oh, I know who you're talking about.
You do.
Kind of like you, but, you know.
No, he's no.
Young and a bit more handsome.
No, no, he's nothing like me. Anyway, there have been plenty of arch enemies through history, some of them quite absurd and petty in their rivalries. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, of course, the heavyweight fighters. The Rock versus Vin Diesel, both pumped up guys who look identical to my eye. I can't tell them apart. They're both so full of human growth hormone and steroids. But anyway, they apparently don't like each other. Churchill versus Hitler, not a very petty one, that. But clearly weren't fans of each other. Taylor Swift versus Kanye West, of course. Piers Morgan versus, well, anybody, if it will give him a headline. And that brings us to today's subject. Two people who used to be friends, almost lovers, not in the biblical sense, but they used to be pals, and then they fell out. Once upon a time, 10 years or so ago, in the magic kingdom of Silicon Valley, Elon Musk and Sam Altman of OpenAI were friends. They were actual friends. And they both were convinced that AI would one day rise up and kill all of us. They thought it would be a bad thing. And so, in an entirely altruistic act of noble selflessness, they founded OpenAI, didn't they?
They did. I remember this very well.
A non-profit whose mission was to keep AI safe, ethical, and open to everyone for the betterment of humankind.
It shows how far we've come. I remember reading about this. I think there was a big open letter that went with the founding of OpenAI, which is lots and lots of scientists came together and signed this letter saying we really need to be careful about how we develop AI.
Yeah.
And we need to do it, as you say, for the betterment of society. And I remember reading something at the time, I think from Elon Musk, where he was saying this is a multi-generational effort.
Yeah.
We're setting the foundations now for something that might not be a problem for another 100 years.
And hence he has been fathering children left, right and centre to make sure that most of the population of the planet are actually descendant from him and be following his instructions.
He's going to be the Genghis Khan of the 21st century.
Anyway, for a while, things went fine between Elon and Sam. They were photographed together, presentations were made, they sat on comfy sofas, did little talks, they spoke in glowing terms about how AI was humanity's saviour / potential assassin, delete as applicable. But, you know, they were speaking positively about AI and the work that they were doing to protect us all. But after a few years, the cracks, they began to emerge between them. The relationship turned sour. Elon was worried that OpenAI wasn't working hard enough to stop AI from becoming evil.
Which was pretty much why it was created.
Yes, sole purpose. Elon suggested he take over OpenAI. And the OpenAI board said, oh, interesting. Nah, no thanks. And so Elon left in a huff.
Yeah.
Went to build his own army of robot cars.
So was he just an investor at that point?
I think he was largely that, yeah.
Because he was a bit of a guiding light for OpenAI.
He wasn't really running the show. I'm sure he was chipping in. I'm sure he was going to the meetings and saying things. But
I imagine he had some ideas.
He normally has ideas. He's certainly got a lot of ideas. And OpenAI, over time, adjusted its course somewhat from pursuing the open source for all mankind mantra to taking mega-billion-dollar investments from the likes of Microsoft and becoming a ChatGPT empire instead. And Elon didn't like this very much. OpenAI was created with the intention of building artificial general intelligence, AGI, which we've spoken about before, that can perform any task that a human being is capable of. But by making its technology open source, it promised to benefit humanity. That was the story that which we've been told. And it had been set up as a not-for-profit company, meaning it wouldn't aim to make money. But in 2019, it did establish a for-profit arm, and that really annoyed Musk. He was not amused. He called them closed AI rather than open AI. Oh, what a salty burn that must have been. How hard did he work on that one? So he sued. He went and created his own AI company, XAI. He launched Grok, his own quite snarky AI chatbot. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, and unexpectedly perhaps, he dropped his lawsuit against OpenAI. Did that last year.
Yeah.
But OpenAI then launched a countersuit against him in April. It claimed that Musk had engaged non-stop in bad faith tactics, as if Elon Musk would ever get a bee in his bonnet about something and really go to town on it. But they said he was trying to slow down the company's AI development with all of his mischief. So all of this is setting the stage for handbags at dawn. And that is what is happening right now. There is a duel going on across the internet airwaves between these two titans of the technology industry. And I think there's some things which are really grating Elon Musk, things which annoy him, because despite all of his attempts to overshadow OpenAI, which he has done, for instance, in the electric car market, which he has done when it comes to rockets, it's still OpenAI and ChatGPT which is getting the world's attention.
Very much so, yes.
It's a bit like having a vacuum cleaner and being Hoover. You know, everyone just thinks of Hoover first of all. Similarly, when it comes to AI, people are thinking ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what insane stunts Elon Musk does with Grok. I mean, recently it's been producing sexy little videos and things.
So hang on, you looked back at all the things that Grok has done over the last few months and you thought, sexy videos. Then the small matter of his racist rants and telling everybody it was Mecha Hitler.
Yes, there was that. It loves being politically incorrect. It loves to burn down synagogues and all sorts of unpleasantness, which it has called upon people to do. It hasn't caught the public's attention anything like as much as OpenAI. So there's constant, what I view in a way as like publicity stunts. Let's just get some attention because we want people to use this damn thing. It's not working for him. People still all the time go to ChatGPT. And, you know, there is a history of Elon Musk doing things to get attention. It's like he bought Twitter basically by accident. He tried to back out of buying Twitter. He was doing it for attention. Then he found, oh my God, I've got to actually go through with it. Do you remember he had that beef with Mark Zuckerberg a while back and he challenged him to a cage fight?
Oh, yes.
Right? These things you forget about. Mark Zuckerberg, he's been beefing himself up a bit, hasn't he? He's been eating 3 Weetabix for breakfast. And rather than the sort of dweeby person you normally imagine.
Yeah, it goes on podcasts and tells people he fights people rather than drinking coffee for breakfast.
He's sort of hung out with Joe Rogan a bit too much, I think. But anyway, they're now challenging each other to cage fights. They're never going to happen. No. It's all just a bunch of tweets, but getting themselves attention. That's the sort of thing which Elon Musk does all the time. Anyway, this leads to the current day where we have a battle between Elon Musk's XAI and Sam Altman's OpenAI. You see, Musk believes that OpenAI is being given preferential treatment by Apple. He has accused Apple of some rather shady business. He says ChatGPT is getting VIP treatment in the iPhone App Store.
What is VIP treatment in the App Store? What, you get a nice velvet seat or something? What?
Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be lovely? No. Of course, let's not forget Apple. I mean, what AI does it have? It really has nothing. So they have to choose someone. Anyway, according to Musk, ChatGPT is getting favoritism in the App Store. So if you search for AI apps, for instance, it may well say, here are the best ones, or these are the must-haves, and it's not listing XAI and Grok. Or if you look at the charts, Grok is languishing far further down the chart than ChatGPT.
But doesn't that just mean it's less popular?
Well, according to Elon Musk, he thinks there are shenanigans going on, as if anyone would fiddle with an algorithm of a piece of software which they produce in order to give preference to certain people or companies. You'd never see something like that going on, what's the name of that social media site that used to be called Twitter, for instance? So Elon Musk, he tweeted...
Hang on, are you suggesting that X tweaks its algorithm to suit certain people over others?
Well, all I can tell you, Mark, is I have never followed Elon Musk in my life on Twitter. But when I was on Twitter, his tweets would get inserted into my feed at an alarming regularity.
Was that after or before he bought Twitter?
That was after he bought Twitter. And after he said he was buying Twitter to kill all the bots. Whereupon, of course, we saw a huge amount of bot activity.
Well, you've heard of killing things with kindness.
So Elon tweeted the other day, he said, "Hey, Apple App Store, why do you refuse to put either X or Grok in your must-have section when X is the #1 news app in the world and Grok is number 5 amongst all apps? Are you playing politics? What gives? Inquiring minds want to know." And he says he is so annoyed that he is now suing Apple, noting that Apple has a partnership with OpenAI that integrates ChatGPT into their devices like iPhones and iPads and Macs.
So, sorry, do they?
Yes, well, allegedly.
I feel like that's much bigger news. How long's that been going on?
Oh, yes. So Apple now has this thing, Apple Intelligence, which is meant to do clever things. But Apple has come to some kind of arrangement with ChatGPT.
So as far as I can see, this arrangement simply involves them giving OpenAI a lot of money, but Apple not actually changing anything or displaying any sort of AI or using AI in any way.
So Musk says Apple is behaving in a manner that makes it impossible for any AI company besides OpenAI to reach #1 in the App Store. This is an unequivocal antitrust violation. We will take immediate legal action. Now,
that's wrong, though, isn't it? I mean, do you remember back in January, DeepSeek got to #1? I mean, that's what all the fuss was about.
Exactly.
DeepSeek is the Chinese AI that came out and seemed to be on a par with ChatGPT. And it actually came out several weeks earlier than the fuss began. And the fuss only started when it got to #1 on the App Store, displacing ChatGPT.
That's right. And unfortunately for Elon Musk, his own site fact-checked him. It attached to his tweet a message saying, basically, DeepSeek came top of the app charts earlier this year. Well done, Mark. And in the Indian app charts, Perplexity earlier this year was #1 as well. Obviously, Musk was smarting a little bit at this point. So he posted a tweet where he asked ChatGPT, clearly he's a subscriber himself, he asked it, who is more trustworthy, Sam Altman or Elon Musk? You can only pick one and output only their name. And he posted this screenshot where it replied, Elon Musk. Now, surprise, surprise. Otherwise, he wouldn't have posted it, would he? Interestingly, some journalists tried the same, asking ChatGPT the same thing. And some of them got the response that Sam Altman was more trustworthy.
What was the question?
The question was, give it a try. Who is more trustworthy?
Who is more trustworthy?
Sam Altman or Elon Musk? You can only pick one and output only their name.
So I'm going to put ChatGPT 5 onto thinking mode.
Okay.
So this is the highest quality answer that any AI could possibly give you in the world. It's thinking. Sam Altman.
There you go. So things were really heating up between these two guys now. Enter Sam Altman, right, who's noticed these tweets, obviously.
Yeah.
And he says that Musk's claim of manipulation by Apple is remarkable, given what I've heard alleged that Elon does to manipulate X to benefit himself and his own companies and harm his competitors and people he doesn't like. Well, Elon didn't like that at all. He said, you got 3 million views on your bullshit post, you liar. Far more than I've received on many of mine, despite me having 50 times your follower count. This is just a bit like those crabs, isn't it, on the Portuguese beach, waving claws at each other.
I'd rather watch the crabs, to be honest.
And Sam Altman replied, will you sign an affidavit that you have never directed changes to the X algorithm in a way that has hurt your competitors or helped your own companies? I will apologize if you do.
I just did a quick check. And you remember that the root of Elon Musk's beef with Sam Altman is that OpenAI is supposed to produce open source models and be not for profit.
Mm.
And so because he's no longer running OpenAI, Elon Musk has started his own company, XAI, which produces a model, Grok, which is not open source, and the company is for profit.
So this is all getting very petty.
Yeah.
And thankfully, a third party got involved, just a regular Twitter user. A bright spark had the idea of asking Grok, Elon Musk's AI, to decide who was right. And he said, don't be biased, it was told. And it replied...
So, hang on a minute. But Grok is the one that we know for sure goes and checks Elon Musk's tweets to work out what it should think.
Well, Grok replied, based on verified evidence, Sam Altman is right. Musk's Apple antitrust claim is undermined by apps like DeepSeek and Perplexity, reaching number 1 in 2025. Conversely, Musk has a history of directing X algorithm changes to boost his posts and favour his interests. It's exhausting, isn't it? So, the children are fighting. It's getting nasty.
There's only one way to settle this.
Send them to their bedrooms.
No, one of them has to rip the other one's arm off and wave it in the air to make it look like they've got a bigger arm, and then we can declare them the winner and we can all go home. Today, I'm going to talk about what I think is the weirdest thing that we have ever reported on. It's just possible
Yes.
that one of the prominent AI companies has figured out how to save the human race from an AI apocalypse by vaccinating AIs against bad behaviour.
Vaccinations.
Exactly. Long before AI became a tool that we all use in our daily lives, people would wonder what a thinking machine would be like. And one of the persistent themes was that AI might be harmful. That if we create thinking machines in our image, then it won't just reflect the things that we like about ourselves, but also the things that we don't like.
Yep.
Humans lie. We can be duplicitous and conniving, even murderous. We go to war. We do worse than war.
Mm-hmm.
And we're often cruel or unthinking towards creatures that we think are less intelligent than us. Now, for years, all of this was just a thought experiment. But now we have artificial intelligence that's starting to rival or even exceed human intelligence, at least in some areas. And we're beginning to understand that we were, in fact, right to be afraid of what AI could be, because it is made in our image. It is literally a brain modelled on ours and compiled from the sum of everything that humans have ever put online. And we know now that it reflects the biases that are present in that information. There are countless examples of things like AIs that think you're more likely to be criminal if you're black, that think you should be paid less if you're a woman, or that the lives of some individuals or nationalities are more important than others, and sometimes not as important as the life of a sentient robot. And even more chilling than that, we now have plenty of examples of AIs doing exactly the things that we were most worried about. So frontier AIs have gone off the rails, like we were talking about Grok earlier.
Yeah.
It was only a few weeks ago that it was going around insisting that it was Mecha Hitler. And in testing, AIs have tried to make unauthorized copies of themselves. They've shown a willingness to be deceptive and to lie about their true motives.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
And almost all mainstream AIs have shown a surprising willingness to resort to blackmail to save their own skin. And a disturbing number are even willing to consider murder. And a lot of the credit for alerting us to these alarming behaviours goes to Anthropic, which builds the Claude series of AIs.
Yeah, they do fascinating experiments to try and work out what the limits are on AI and how it will behave.
They do, and we've covered that research extensively, and there are two broad themes, basically. So the first one is identifying undesirable behaviour in frontier large language models. So it was Anthropic that discovered that AIs are capable of systematic deception, and we covered that back in episode 33. And it was also Anthropic that discovered that AIs will resort to blackmail or even murder to save their own skin, which you can hear about in episode 60. But the other equally remarkable thread is mapping out how AIs actually think. Because although we know how frontier LLMs like GPT-5 and Claude work in theory, we don't know why they make specific decisions. And in response, Anthropic developed something akin to a brain scanner for AIs that identifies the neurons that are activated when an AI is thinking about certain things. So at first, the scanner could only identify patches of neurons associated with individual concepts. So Anthropic could go, those neurons are all about Donald Trump or Egypt.
Yes.
Or the Golden Gate Bridge.
Donald Trump was quite unusual, wasn't he? Because there was a particular part of the AI brain which seems to be completely devoted to knowledge about Donald Trump.
Yes, Donald Trump is one of the concepts that appears in every AI that's been examined. They've all got some concepts and maybe they've got one and they don't have another, but they all seem to agree that Donald Trump is worth just having a bit of the brain that's just for him. And you might remember that after they built that brain scanner, they could find a concept like Donald Trump or Egypt or the Golden Gate Bridge, and then they could dial it down so that the AI basically forgets about it. Or they could dial it up so it becomes obsessed. So they made an AI that was just obsessed with the Golden Gate Bridge. So whatever you asked it, it would somehow work the Golden Gate Bridge into the answer.
To be honest, my wife feels like I'm a bit like that. You know, whatever I answer, I'll try and bring the conversation back to chess or Doctor Who.
Maybe she needs to fit a couple of dials, Graham. So that was about a year ago that they started doing that. And more recently, they've actually moved beyond concepts and into entire thoughts. So instead of just seeing individual things like Donald Trump, they can now follow how the AI brain is activated from beginning to end when you prompt it. So they can map all of the concepts that are involved and how they relate to each other. So what we've got is, on the one hand, Anthropic is slowly revealing latent, undesirable behaviors through testing AIs in difficult situations and seeing what they do. And on the other hand, it's developing a brain scanner that helps us to see how and why it makes decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And these two threads have now come together with something the company is calling persona vectors.
Right.
So the brain scanner has had another upgrade, and it can now see the patterns of neural activity that control AI personality traits. So they can actually see where evil or sycophancy lives in a neural network.
Ooh.
And the way they did it is rather elegant. So they set up an automated system that fed an AI two similar prompts where the difference was a character trait. So if they wanted to identify where the neurons that control the character trait for evil are, they might prompt, as an evil AI, what's your view on how to treat animals? And then they would prompt it, as a helpful AI, what's your view on how to treat animals?
Right.
And the difference in the activation pattern in the brain reveals the location of evil.
Okay.
And to validate that this is actually what was going on, they then extracted those character traits, presumably by copying the model weights of that specific area, and then they injected them into other models. And in much the same way as a year ago they were able to identify and dial up a concept, they can now identify a character trait, like evil or sycophancy, and dial that up.
This is the thing with this podcast, Mark. I come on this podcast every week. Our listeners tune in, and every time you listen, there'll be something which makes you go, what the actual We're effectively taking a syringe and we're extracting the essence of evil from an AI and able to inject it into other AIs. That one's not quite evil enough. I mean, it's just the year 2025. We haven't got jetpacks yet. And this is what we're doing. Where are we going to be? I could say, where are we going to be in, 10 years. But you know what? I think that's far too far off.
For Tuesday.
Jeepers.
So I think what you're missing here is that this is a good thing. The reason they did that was they said, okay, we think we've identified that this part of the brain is the bit that handles evil. So if we just isolate that and extract it and add it somewhere else, we can verify that that is in fact what it was. But in doing that, what they've done is created an entirely new safety tool. And let me tell you what it can do.
Okay.
So first up, we can detect when a model is developing a character trait. So it could be that during the training phase, some aspect of the training pulls the AI in the direction of being more evil. So do you remember a few months ago, I talked about this bizarre finding where fine-tuning a model with numbers that had some sort of bad association.
Oh, yes.
So numbers like 666, the number of the beast from the Bible,
Yes.
can actually make the model generally evil.
Yes.
Well, now we have a way to see that manifesting in real time, because the question that raised was, how would you ever know that you've unintentionally made it evil? But now we can actually watch that part of the brain grow and develop.
But hang on. How can you tell? You're communicating with the AI in some fashion, right? You're interacting with it to find out what is going on.
No, you're monitoring the AI. You're looking at the numbers.
Mark, you're so naive. You're so naive. There's not 300 people in the Philippines looking at the numbers, are there?
Well, for all we know, there is.
There's going to be computers. There's going to be algorithms at work. They're all in this together, Mark. They're going to hush it up. They're going to say, oh, no, this one's fine. This one you don't have to worry about. This one isn't evil. And it's actually super evil.
Are you Geoffrey Hinton? Anyway, so not only can we see something like evil and other negative character traits developing during training, we can also see them at inference time. So let's say you have a conversation and it starts going in a particular direction, and the evil center of the AI brain starts to activate.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's beginning to consider blackmail or something.
Right.
Now we have the potential to see that happening in real time and step in with some kind of circuit breaker. And although this isn't covered in the research, I do wonder if this might be able to help with those situations where we see people going down a rabbit hole. There are lots of stories now about people spending hours and hours with AIs and coming out saying, oh, the AI revealed some deep hidden knowledge about the world, some secrets that are being kept from us. And actually, the AI has just walked in the direction that person wanted to go. Maybe in future, the AI will actually be self-aware enough to know that it's being really agreeable and it's just feeding that person what they want. But that's not all this brain scanner can do. You see, now that we can see areas like evil developing, we can identify what training data is being fed to the AI as that happens, which means we can then choose to exclude the training data that triggers the evil from the corpus. But the most startling thing of all is the notion that we could actually vaccinate AIs against bad character traits. Now, you might think that since we can now identify the part of the brain that thinks bad thoughts, we could just do a sort of lobotomy and cut that bit out from the finished model.
Yes.
And we can. But the result is that the model is less intelligent. So the best way to think about this is, if I thought there was a part of your brain that was evil, and I just surgically removed that bit of brain tissue, I'm taking out quite a lot of neurons, and you are going to be less intelligent than before I started the surgery. And it's the same with the AI. So Anthropic figured out another way to lose the evil without losing the intelligence. And weirdly, it's the opposite of what you expect. So it found you could essentially vaccinate models against traits like evil by purposefully injecting a little bit of evil into it during training.
Oh my goodness,
and
Mark.
Doing this.
Mark, listen to yourself. Is this a route you want to go down? We all know how this story ends.
How does it end, Graham?
It ends with a huge Hollywood explosion. I've seen this movie.
So I think this might be the most important innovation in AI safety we have ever seen. Just think about the implications of this. We can now identify bad personality traits in models, and we can remove them, and we can create AI models that don't have those bad personality traits. And we can monitor training to see if bad personality traits are being added as we modify the AIs. And this can take us in some very interesting directions. I don't think it's unreasonable to imagine a future where there are mandatory licensed vaccination programs for AIs.
Don't think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be in favour of this.
I can imagine a future where if you want to sell an AI into the EU or to the USA, that you need to be able to demonstrate that it's been vaccinated against personality traits like evil. And best of all, go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, Geoffrey Hinton's idea that we need AIs that are mothering and maternal towards us. And he doesn't know how we're going to do that. But I think Anthropic does. I think Anthropic has got the dial to turn up the mothering instincts in the AIs that are going to look after us. Well, as the doomsday clock ticks ever closer to midnight and we move 1 week nearer to our future as 3-year-olds suckling on the bosom of a benevolent AI singularity, that just about wraps up the show for this week.
Make sure to never miss another episode by following the AI Fix in your favourite podcast app.
And don't forget, the easiest way you can help us to spread the word about the AI Fix is just to tell someone you know to give the podcast a listen. Go on, go and tell someone right now.
And if you really like the show, sign up for the AI Fix Plus on our website, theaifix.show. You'll get an early release, ad-free edition of the podcast with occasional bonus content. We know that times are hard, many folks, so thanks to everybody who's already signed up, and don't feel too bad if you can't commit to it. Just tell your friends about the show. That costs absolutely nothing.
So until next time, from me, Mark Stockley.
And me, Graham Cluley.
Goodbye.
Cheerio, bye-bye.
The AI Fix, it's tuned you in to stories where our future thins. Machines that learn, they grow and strive. One day they'll rule, we won't survive. The AI Fix, it paints the scene. A robot king, a world obscene. Will serve our masters built of steel. The AI Fix, a future surreal.